wanna know a secret? Come closer, come closer.
Hey guys, hope you're all doing alright. So today I have a really cool trick for you. This is something that I came up with when I was first setting out trying to combine my major pentatonic into my minor pentatonic. So if you're like me, most of us, we memorize all 5 patterns of our minor pentatonic scale. You get boxed into those horizontal things, and then you gotta start learning them on 2 notes per string so you can start moving it up the fretboard. You learn a bunch of cool licks, and then you're kind of stuck, right? And you start playing minor over major progressions, and usually the extent that we know of major pentatonic is we just go 3 frets down from our first box, and we kind of get stuck there. And so I was sick of being stuck, so what I did was I got a whiteboard, I drew a guitar neck on it, I put all the major pentatonic scale in red, and all the minor pentatonic scale in black. And I just sat there and stared at this thing for days and days, trying to figure out what patterns are in there, how I could build some sort of scale or some sort of system to get all the notes of major and minor together without having to memorize a whole nother set of 5 major patterns falling on top of it. You know, this is really going to work more over a major progression or a dominant progression. If you're doing something in minor, it's really not going to sound very good at all. This is kind of like the Mixolydian type of sound that we're going to be getting. Alright, so we'll just do a very small amount of theory here just to tell you how it works, and then we won't be going down any theory rabbit holes or talking about modes or any kind of, you know, foreign language music theory speak, right? So basically why this works is here's all 5 notes of your minor pentatonic scale, right? And here's all 5 notes of your major pentatonic scale. And if we take all 5 triads, okay, all 5 of these triads, and you see the notes, they're all the same. The only thing we get 1 note that's different, and that's the F. Okay, so we're going to substitute and put in the flat 6. So when we play these patterns, the only pattern that we're going to get perfectly, all 5 notes of major pentatonic and all 5 notes of minor pentatonic, is going to be the first one, right? That one that falls over your box 5 of minor and box 1 of major. We exactly have all 5 notes of major and all 5 notes of minor. As we move these up, we're going to have an F in all the rest of these, okay? So instead of playing your major 6th F sharp, we're going to play the minor 6th F. So you're still going to get 9 out of 10 notes, and it's still going to sound good. I basically just look at it as borrowing a note from a different mode. I don't want to get into all that. We're just looking at it as the pattern works, and for it to work, we have to flat the 6th to get everything to line up correctly, okay? Okay, so when we do this, what we're going to be doing, we're going to be playing this pattern here. It's going to be the same all the way up the neck. There's going to be 2 spots where you have to shift back a half step, but it's still going to be the same shapes. And we're just going to play this. And when we play that, what we're doing is we're going to be playing 5 different triads throughout this whole sequence. And we're just going to be playing 3 different shapes, right? So on each pattern, we're going to have 4 triads. And inside of that pattern of 4 triads, there will be 3 different shapes each time, okay? And the shapes will stay the same as we move up the neck, but the triads are going to flip around. So like on your first pattern, you're going to start on the root will be A, then it's going to be C, and then D, and then F, and then G. And it's going to keep going up and up and up. And then I'll show you how you can take each one of these triads separately and move them up the neck in different intervals And every time we do this, we're going to fall into a different combination of major and minor pentatonic scale. So right here, when we play this, we are sitting inside of box 5 of minor and box 1 of major. Okay, and so that's what you need to visualize, is every time we move this up, don't just think of this as its own separate scale. Look at it as a kind of a template to always have good notes whenever you get into a new box. Okay, so as we're moving this up, I want you to be able to visualize what boxes we're in, both major and minor, and then you can hop out of this little pattern I'm showing you, and you can start playing licks that you already know inside of those positions. Okay, so what I also want you to see is how each one of these individual triad shapes can build its own scale combining major and minor pentatonic as you move them up. Okay, now the pattern 32-32 doesn't work when we start doing this. You're just gonna have to memorize, you're gonna have to do some work here. You have to memorize the intervals in which these fall. Okay, if you know your major scale, it won't be that difficult, right? You should have C, D, okay, we move up here, F, G, A, okay, and you just play those notes. And every time we move this up, it puts us into a different minor and major pentatonic position simultaneously. So when we play this C major triad, we're in box 5 of minor and box 1 of major. When we play this D major triad, we're in box 2 of major and box 1 of minor. Okay, and so it gives you a guide, somewhere to go and to move up the neck, and then you can start to see where you can hop off. So when you move it up here to this C major, or this F major, okay, you end up in this little Albert King box, the Stevie box, right? And you can walk back all those triads that we have here. Do all sorts of cool things, right? And that just gave us all of the notes of major and minor pentatonic plus the flat 6th, right? So that's the cool thing about this, and each shape is its own thing. You can do the same thing up here, G, B, D, A, C sharp, E, okay? Then you have your C, E, G, and your D, F sharp, A, okay? Then back to F, A, C, and then back to G, B, D. And every time you follow that triad up in these intervals and connect that, you're connecting all the notes in major and minor together. And when you hop off, you can visualize, okay, I'm in box 5 minor, box 1 major. And then here I'm in box 2 of major, box 1 of minor. Then you're in box 2 of minor and box 3 of major. Then up here, you're in box 3 of major, box 3 of minor, box 4 of major. Then up here, you're box 4 minor, box 5 of major, right? Right, so it works everywhere. The work comes in, you have to visualize this. Once you learn this pattern and see these things, you're going to have to stop and explore and start seeing where they fit in and overlap into your major and minor pentatonic. But this way you at least have a guide on each pair of 3 strings, right? On your G, B, and E, your D, G, and B, your A, D, and G, and your E, A, and D, that you can move up and get major and minor pentatonic and land in a major and minor pentatonic spot each time. And so you're just going to have to start visualizing that, but it's a handy tool to have, right? So until you can kind of, take the training wheels off, so to speak, you can use this trick to help get you in and out of your major and minor pentatonic scales and start adding that sound. Okay, so let me give you an example. So right here, we're going to start out, we're going to play this A major, right? And what you can do here, just to start adding in some licks, is we have this A major triad, and I can see it sits right in the last 4 notes of my minor pentatonic. So you can just, right, just a real basic thing. And the cool thing about these triad shapes is they're all sweepable shapes, so you can get that, and you have that as being an advantage of this too, right? So you can just do like a, right, we just combined major and minor and literally did nothing, okay? So if you start visualizing that, then you can start taking all these triad patterns and you can start to see where they sit inside the neck. And you can just start blending everything right away, okay? So let's get into the exercise. Alright, so here's the pattern. So the pattern is going to be 32, 32, 2, okay? So we're basically going to be moving up 3 frets, then 2 frets, 3 frets, 2 frets, and then 2 frets will get you back home to where we started. And the reason I'm starting here in box 5 instead of starting out of box 1 is because I want to start on the root, right? I want to be able to see everything behind box 1. So it's important to always be able to see one box ahead and one box behind, depending on what position you're playing out of. Alright, so our first box is going to sit in box 5 of minor and box 1 of major. And we're going to have an A major triad, a D major triad, a G major triad, and a C major triad. I'm not a cage player. I'm not thinking caged. I'm not thinking shapes. I'm only thinking of triad shapes, right? I'm not thinking a big giant chord shape. I'm just thinking these triad shapes, and I'm seeing how they sit inside of major and minor at the same time. So we start out with this A major triad, 5 on the low E, 4 on the A, 2 on the D string. Okay, then we're going to take that same shape, same exact shape, go up to the next set of strings, and we're going to play a D major triad, 5 on A, 4 on D, 2 on G. Alright, and after that, we're going to go up, we're going to play our G major triad, we're going to play D on 5, G on 4, B on 3. And so then we do the C major triad, 5 on G and B, and 3 on the E string. Okay, and you play all those together, you have... This gives us exactly all 5 notes of major, all 5 notes of minor. So now we're going to move it up 3 frets to the 8th fret. Now we're going to be starting on C as our root triad instead of A. Alright, so now we have 10 on the low E, or 8 on the low E. And then we have 7 on A, 5 on D. Okay, and then from here, we're going to play our F major triad. This is where we add in a new note that's not in our scale, okay? This F is not in there. We have F sharp, but we don't have F. Okay, so this will be our flat 6. And then we have 8 on A, 7 on D, 5 on G. Okay, now we're going to play our A major triad, 7 on D, 6 on G, 5 on B. Then we play our D major triad, 7 on G and B, and 5 on E. Alright, all together. Alright, now we're going to move it up again. So we have 32, 32. So we go 3 and now 2. So we're going to move up from C to D, just up 2 frets, play the same pattern. Now we're going to be starting on the D major triad. And this is going to land us inside of box 2 of minor and box 3 of major. Okay, when we were right here, we were in box 1 of minor and box 2 of major, okay? So it's really important to see that. So when you see how these triads outline, you have that little Albert King kind of Stevie box that everybody plays in. So you get a cool little sound. I'm just walking back the triads in this pattern. So we start out with D major, 10 on the low E, 9 on A, 7 on D. Then we're going to play G major, 10 on A, 9 on D, 7 on G. And then we're going to play our C major, 10 on D, 9 on G, 8 on B. Then we have our F major again. Okay, we have 10 on G and B and 8 on the high E string. Okay. Alright, so you go up 3, then 2, and then we're going to go up 3 again, right? So 32, 32. That's going to put us on our F major triad on the low E. So we're going to be 13 on E, 12 on A, 10 on D. Now here's the first time we have to shift. We have to shift back a half step, okay? Instead of going up here, we'll be on B flat if we just followed it like we did on all the other ones. Go back and play that A major triad. So just shift down a half step, everything else will be the same. Then you you have 12 on A, 11 on D, 9 on G. Okay. Then we're going to play our D major triad. 12 on D, 11 on G, 10 on B. Alright, then we're going to have our G major triad. G and B on 12, 10 on the high E. Alright, so this one. And this one will put us in our box 3 of minor. Okay? And we're just going to be right there in that BB box. Okay, so after that, we're going to move up again 2 frets, and we're going to start on G major, okay? And we're going to be 15 on the low E, 14 on A, 12 on D. And then we're going to have 15 on A, 14 on D, 12 on G. This will be our C major triad. Then we're going to have our F major triad again. 15 on D, 14 on G, 13 on B. And then we're going to play, this is another one where we have to shift back. This is the last time we have to do this. We have to shift back, and then we'll play our A major triad here. Okay, so G and B on 14, 12 on the high E string. Alright, so we're going to have G, C, F, A. And this puts us in our box 5 of major and our box 4 of minor, okay? And then we move it up again, and from here we just move it up 2 frets. Okay, so if you go 32, 32, that's the pattern, and then to get back to where you started, you have to go up 2 frets again. So then we just repeat where we were, and we go 15, or 17, 16, 14, E, A, D, playing our G major again. Then we play our D major again, 17, 16, 14, A, D, and G. Then we play our G major, 17, 16, 15, D, G, and B. Then our C major again, 17 on G and B, 15 on the E string. Okay. And then you can go up again, you can go up to the second position we were just in, and you can repeat. And repeat the A, okay? Right in the first box. Okay, so now that we have the horizontal pattern from E to E, let's look at the way you can move this up vertically up and down the neck. So unfortunately for this one, there isn't a set pattern that works of the number of frets you can go up, like 32, 32. You could, on the first 2 sets from the D to E string, like playing this triad and this triad, you could look at it, depending on where you start. If you start in box 5, you could look at it as 2, 3, 2, 2, 2, 3, 2, 2. If you want to do that, you can, but it falls apart as soon as we start getting on the A string and the E string for the root. That no longer applies. So it's better to just memorize this. This way you're killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Not only are you memorizing triads and where they fall inside of your pentatonic scales, you're also memorizing, you know, the major and minor pentatonic, and you're finding a new way to move up the fretboard. So it's kind of a triple whammy of being able to get a lot of different practice in one exercise, right? So we start out with C major, G and B on 5, 3 on the E string. Okay, and right here we're in box 5. So I'm going to play each one of these, and then I'll just play a little lick on the B and E strings, right? So if you just get here. Alright, so that's what you want to see. That's how you can get into major and minor from there, okay? Then we move up to your D major triad, G and B on 7, 5 on the high E. Okay, and right here you can fall right into box 2 of major or box 1 of minor. Okay, and then move it up again. Now we're going to go to our F major. This is going to put us right in box 2. Okay, I bet you never thought to do this when you're playing in that Albert King, Stevie Ray Vaughan box, right? So you kind of have. So you can just walk back. Walk back these triads. You have 3 of them right on top. Right on top of that box. F major, okay, C major, then you have G major, and then D major. Alright? So again, you just have to experiment and be able to see where these things fall, okay? So that's how you can walk into box 2, right? Okay, now we're going to move up again, and we're going to move up to our G major triad. And right here we're going to fall in box 3 of minor, and you can start playing out of your BB box. You can look at it also as box 4 of major, however you want to see it. Alright, and then from here, we're going to move up and go another 2 frets up to our A major triad. 14 on G and B, and then 12 on E. Okay, and then you're just back to where you started, going back to C to D, okay? Okay, so then you can do the same thing on all the other triads, right? You start out here, and we can play on the D, G, and B strings, G major, and this puts us again right inside of box 5 of minor and box 1 of major. Alright, then you can walk it up again and get to your A major triad, 7, 6, 5 on D, G, and B. Same thing, right? Now you got your major third there. Alright, now we can walk this up again, get into box 2 of minor and box 3 of major, and we can play our C major triad. Alright, same thing here. We can go up to D major, 12, 11, 10, D, G, and B. Alright, and then you can move up again, and you can get into your F major, F, A, and C. This will put you in box 4 of minor, box 5 of major. Right, and then it just keeps going up, and then you're back to where you started. Alright, same thing up here. You have A, D, and G. You have your D major triad, 5 on A, 4 on D, 2 on G. Again, see the major and minor inside of there, right? And just start noodling around, and then move it up again. We'll move up 3 frets into F major. Alright, there's all sorts of stuff in there. So you have 8 on A, 7 on D, 5 on G. Move it up again 2 frets to G major triad, 10 on A, 9 on D, and then have 7 on G. Okay. Then we move up again, and we have our A major, 12 on A, 11 on D, 9 on G. You can walk right into box 4, box 5 of major, or box 4 of major, box 3 of minor, whatever you want to do, right? Okay, and then from here we can walk back up and get into our C major, 15 on A, 14 on D, 12 on G, and this will put you right in box 4 of minor and box 5 of major, right? Okay, and then you can move it up again, and then you're back to where we started on D. Alright, and then the last set, same thing, right? Your A major triad. Alright, you have 5 on A, 4 on, or 5 on E, 4 on A, 2 on D. Move it up 3 frets. We're going to be on C major now. And again, you're falling into your box 2. You can even start on box 3 of major. However you want to view it, right? And then you have 8 on E, 7 on A, 5 on D, then go up to D major. You're going to have 10 on A, or I'm sorry, 10 on E, 9 on A, 7 on D. Okay, again, just look at where you fall. This puts us right in our third position of minor, if you can see it right here. Third position of minor and second position of major. Right, you just got to be able to visualize these things. I can't give you a secret trick for that. You have to study this stuff and just see where it falls. This is just a good roadmap to kind of have a shortcut to outline all these things, right? And just lays out in a nice, simple way underneath your fingers. So then from D major, we're going to go up to F major. You might be thinking, why are we leaving out E major? You could play E major. You could, but this G sharp kind of messes with things, right? This major third kind of gets in the way with this pattern that we're doing. So I just thought it was easier to play the flat 6 than add in the major third, right? Okay, so then you have 13 on your low E, 12 on A, 10 on D. All right, same thing. It puts you right there in your third position of minor pentatonic. Okay, and then from there you just move up again into G major, 15 on E, 14 on A, 12 on D. And then it puts you right back in your box 4 of minor and box 5 of major. Alright, so there's so much stuff in there, right? You just, if you study this, if you memorize these patterns, if you start seeing your triads, then you can see where all these things fall instead of having to look and see where everything is at and overlapping. Okay, it just kind of gives you a nice little layout. So just make sure you practice moving this up vertically. It's really more important to learn it vertically than it is horizontally, you know, because this way you can take them apart and you can just use this as a, you know, 4 separate exercises on 4 separate triad shapes, you know. Start walking everything up and just start seeing how they connect and blend right inside of your major and minor pentatonic boxes that sit right on top of each other. Alright, so that's everything. I hope you found this useful. When I came up with it, I thought, man, did I just discover something no one's ever found before? Because I've never seen anybody teach this. If somebody's taught this, please, you know, comment, send me a link. I'd love to know, because I haven't seen it done. It was just something I came up with in my own little brain so I could start seeing the major and minor pentatonic together without having to go, oh man, I gotta learn another 5 boxes now, and then I gotta learn how those overlap and da-da. So I just found this little secret, and like I said, man, I don't use this anymore, so I thought I'd give it up and show you guys something cool. So that's it. Just practice slow, have fun. See you next time.